But I want to start with something I am absolutely obsessed with right now, and that is Hades 2.
Oh.
Hades 2, everybody. Andy, I want to start with you on
What's
this
up, big
one, because
dog?
I know you've been playing the Hades 2 technical test, as have I, as has Bless. Greg and Mike, have you played this at all yet?
No, I've been playing other games I'll be talking about.
No,
Mike?
Blessing played on my account, so I'm down one boss run. But, I still get 4. I still get 4 more.
So, Andy, top level, what's going on with this technical test?
The technical test is I guess a way to kind of test out the game before early access actually begins. And it's kind of weird because it's like, well, they're not. Usually this happens with multiplayer games, so I don't know exactly what they're trying to get the feel of. Maybe it is like downloads. I'm not exactly sure what they're testing out right now, but who gives a shit? That just gives us a reason to play Hades 2. And it kicks so much ass, Tim. Now you can still sign up, and they're kind of drip feeding like the releases to people who have signed up, because there's some people who weren't in on the first or second waves, but slowly but surely they're allowing more and more people in and sending them little download codes. So sign up if you can, because you never know, odds may be in your favor.
Yeah. What are you thinking about it though?
It's awesome. Like it just brought me back to that feeling of when Hades 1 was out, and I think it's designed just superbly. The music is incredible. Gameplay feel is exactly where it needs to be. Like, for this being a technical test, I expected to have a lot more. Like, I wish this was different. I wish you got to assume that after a whole lot of early access with Hades 1, that they kind of have a decent idea of what they're going for direction wise. The game feels amazing. It looks fantastic. There's still a couple of art assets missing, and they mentioned that in their live stream when they kind of like made the game go live initially for anybody who had signed up for the technical test. So there's a couple of assets missing. Whenever you talk to certain NPCs, you just see like a little placeholder art every once in a while. But it's super interesting, and I'm loving the new gods that you get to meet. I think there's some really interesting stuff. Is it Hephaestus? The guy with he's like a blacksmith. Whatever he does to your shit, like he gives you an ability that a lot, like when you attack somebody, he'll attack multiple times after that, and the sound effects sound so good. Like the game, Supergiant just knows look and feel, and whenever there's a new ability, how are we going to like visually or sonically make the user feel good about what they're doing in this moment? When we were watching Blessing play in that first sort of stream we did, setting down that big AoE, using who's a horny lady with her boobs are kind of out a little bit, got her hair covered in the nips, blanking on the
wifey.
Yeah, you know who I'm talking about.
I know
There's so many
exactly
of them.
what you're
There's so
talking
many wifey. Everybody's hot in this game. But I love one of her little abilities where whenever you attack somebody, they get kind of brought towards a center point to
Aphrodite?
Aphrodite.
Yeah.
Great job. The game's fantastic, Tim. I did all the 5 runs. It ran great on my Steam Deck as well, which is very, very good news. The fact that this game is still so early on and performed great and looked and sounded great on the Steam Deck. Tim, I heard you had a weekend with this on your Steam Deck OLED.
I did. My Steam Deck OLED and my super ultra wide OLED monitor that I have.
And it's scaled.
32:9, and it scaled beautifully.
Whoa.
Danny Pena posted a picture of him playing with a similar monitor to the one I have, and it's what gave me the idea of like, I should give this a shot. And oh my God, you guys, it's so good. And I just can't believe how great it plays in that aspect ratio. Easily best game I played in that aspect ratio so far. And I think it's because it doesn't get in the way of the gameplay. It's kind of just like more just field of view for you to kind of see what's going on in the battlefield. And
does the UI go all the way to the edges, or does it stay there?
It does, and so far there's no way to change that in the options. I imagine when the full game comes out, you will be able to. Didn't really bother me too much. Yeah, we have it here, this picture here, and it's just amazing. Like the art of Hades is just enhanced so much when you get to just see more of it on a single screen. I also did the 5 runs like Andy. For people that don't know, the technical test limits you to beating the boss 5 times. You get one. There's one boss that you get to the boss of the first area. I don't know why they do that. It's kind of interesting where it's like there's a lot to do besides just getting to the boss, like upgrading all the different weapons. You get 2 different weapons in this test, and a whole bunch of different abilities and like different collectibles and things you can like craft essentially in the little cauldron and all that. And
I was surprised by the amount of new stuff I was experiencing in runs 3, 4, and 5.
Me
Like
too.
I didn't expect a whole lot of that, and I think maybe why they limited it was so that they didn't have to reuse dialogue and kind of make like get repetitive and not want to show you new experiences.
Because once you beat it the first time, it's like, hey, like you can do this 4 more times, and like that's it. This is just a test, whatever. And I like that even in the test, they kind of like framed it as like part of the game of like this test is
complete.
The test complete, but whatever. It's like it's cool, like with the narrator and all that. Supergiant just does not miss. They continue to thrive here, and I didn't expect them to do a sequel to Hades. We've talked about this a lot, and Supergiant, this is their first sequel. What does that mean? What does a Hades 2 look like? And so far, it's just more Hades, which is all I could ever ask for it. But I feel like the tweaks to the game are just so impressive to me, where I played through the 5 runs. I'm probably like 5 hours into Hades 2 combined between the Steam Deck and just playing on my desktop. And I was just having so much fun that I was like, I don't want to stop. So I went back to Hades 1 just to do a couple runs. And I was shocked at how different they feel. Because playing Hades 2, I was like, oh, it's just Hades 1 again. And it's like, oh no, there is a lot more going on. I feel like it's just a little bit tighter. It's nothing game changing. It's not night and day, but I do feel like it's just refined to the point of near perfection. And I already thought Hades 1 was like damn near perfect, if not perfect. So I'm just really impressed with the feel of it, the look of it, the sound of it. It is just tight. It is just exactly what it needs to be. The familiarity of the old gods coming back and just what they're up to now. I was a little worried I was going to be like lost because it's been a while since I played Hades. Like I could not name a single one of these people, even though I just played Hades 2 now. But getting their vibes, understanding their characters, I think they're doing a great job of, you can just jump into Hades 2. You don't need to know all the stuff from Hades 1. If you did play it, they'll catch you up. The characters are just so well defined, and like the differences between how they treat the main character, I feel like is so clear, and it really motivates me to want to do another run to get another piece of dialogue with every single character, because I just want to know what they're up to. I want to know what's going on, and I want to upgrade every single thing they're allowing me to upgrade. And that to me is a sign of, oh, this is a Tim Geddes game. When I immediately am like, I want 100% every single thing this lets me even think about doing. And so I've just been having an absolute blast with it. And the magic system is something that I, on first glance, was like, I don't think I'm going to like this. Because Hades 1 didn't have this, but Hades 2's main character has, she's a witch. So it's like there's a lot more like witchy magic stuff going on. And while the weapons might be similar to what our boy Zagged had in the first game, there's now like a second bar that is your MP essentially that allows you to use powered up magic moves.
It's magic, but it's spelled with a K, so that's how you know.
So it's way
cool.
cooler, absolutely. And I usually don't like that type of stuff because like I'm the type of gamer that gets really like freaked out when you put a limit on a move I can do. Like when I'm playing Metroid, I have limited missiles, so I'm like, I'm not trying to use those missiles unless I'm like in a boss fight. I'm just like spam, like just to try to get that health out. Like I usually default to the more like, I'm gonna hide in the back, get some slashes in, get some shots in, whatever it is, and chill. So having a limited amount of resources to use the moves kind of made me not want to do it, because especially in a game like Hades that you're going room to room and like your life is going down as you go, and like you're not necessarily going to get to a room that refills your HP, or in this case your MP. I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to like that system in this type of game. And I mean, lo and behold, 3 runs in, whatever it is, I'm like, oh, these magic moves are where it's at, man. Like the way that they kind of just change up the regular gameplay of it all, and like just the little enhancements that they make. And then once you get the god power-ups for your normal attacks and your magic attacks, it's just a whole new layer of strategy of like, what is the right loadout for a run? What are the things that feel great to me? And in classic Hades fashion, pretty much any loadout, I can see why it would be somebody's favorite. Like there's so much versatility in.
Although Poseidon's always my least favorite.
Yeah.
In the first game,
which one's his?
Water Dude.
Oh, I love Dude pushing him back, man.
Like
Get the hell outta
in
here.
the first game, he was my least favorite, and in this one, I'm already like, just give me somebody else. I'll go for whatever other option there is. But no, I totally feel you. It's one of those weird things that's kind of tough to explain, because you get several questions in the Twitch chat. Is this better? Is it worse? What's it like? Is it just like Hades 1? It's like, yes, and it's super similar in a lot of different ways, and it's you feel like you're being reductive in that sense. You feel like you're being negative and like, it's just the first game again. But it's more of one of the best games of all time. So absolutely, you should definitely play this whenever it comes out.
I mean, I often relate things to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and I'm going to do that right here. It's
Whoa.
like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 to Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. They are very similar games, but 2 had the manual. And it's like, that's all it really needed to be like, oh, it's everything I loved, but just refined. And now there's just like even more potential for this to go places.
You got Darth Maul in that game? Which one had Darth Maul?
That was 3.
Oh,
2 had
shit.
Spidey.
Ooh.
Yeah. 3 had Darth Maul and Wolverine.
And Officer Dick.
Wow.
They all have Officer Dick.
Her web connects them all.
It's true. It's true. Bless, you
His
also
dick
played.
connects them all.
You also played Hades too.
Yeah.
What was your experience with it?
Looking for the perfect gift to celebrate the moms in your life? Aura frames are beautiful Wi-Fi connected digital picture frames that allow you to share and display unlimited photos. It's super easy to upload and share photos via the Aura app, and if you're giving Aura as a gift, you can even personalize the frame with preloaded photos and memories. How do I, Greg Miller from Kinda Funny, know so much about Aura? Because I just gave Jen one for her birthday. I used the QR code on the box to preload it with photos of her and Benny. And when she booted it up for the first time, she got to see a sweet little message from me. I like this frame so much that I am actually legitimately buying one for my mother for Mother's Day. From grandmothers to new mothers, aunts, and even friends in your life, every mom loves an Aura frame. Right now, Aura has a great deal for Mother's Day. Listeners can save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $30 off plus free shipping for their best-selling frame. That's auraframes.com. Use code KINDAFUNNY at checkout to save. And mom, if you see this before you get your Aura frame for Mother's Day, please act surprised.
No, so, I mean, same as you guys, right? I really enjoyed it. I think, the manual thing, I think, puts it into like really good perspective, because I found that for me, the difference between Hades 2 and Hades 1 have been more minor tweaks and like a lot of like, character, story stuff, environments, how all that stuff is shifted and moved and like, brought into a new setting and all that. But those tweaks for me really make it. Like Hades 1, I've been playing a lot recently just because I had never gotten around to actually beating the game. And so now I've been playing a lot of Hades 1 on my Steam Deck, and jumping into Hades 2, immediately I was like, okay, this is more. But as I play it, I am like, okay, but like I like that they added a run feature, right? Like you do the dash and you hold the dash and now you're running around, and that then led into in my first run that I played on Mike's account on the stream. My build by the time I got to the end of that run, I think is indicative of, oh shit, y'all are cooking with this, because
deflecting projectiles.
Yeah, it
so
was like,
sick.
okay, if I hold the run, as long as I'm running, I am projecting most of the projectiles that are being thrown at me. I had that, plus I had an ability that would refill I kept calling it the Omega meter, but I think it's the magic meter that you're talking about, right? The blue meter that we have right there. If I stood still, the meter would automatically fill up, which allows me to use like my powered up magic moves. So that was pretty cool, right?
That's when we talked to the little spider lady, because she gives you
New outfits.
She gives you like an outfit that like, and it changes your appearance as well. And so some of the perks there are gain 2 hearts when you enter a new room, or when you stand still, you regenerate magic, and that's the build that Bless had in that moment.
But then they switched up the cast in this one, where in Hades 1 you would have like the little cast you do that was a projectile that you throw at an enemy, and then it would caught in the enemy until you take them out and you get it back in. And based on the power-ups or the boons that you get through your run, that'll switch up the cast or add different effects to it. Here it's more of an AoE thing. And in my run, the first one I did where I got to the boss, I got an upgrade where I could like throw it long distance. So now it is all right, I'm throwing my cast on an enemy that creates the area of effect, but now I am like using that to like get them caught in it, and I am using my magic to then get the long range move. But then on top of that, find another boon that is when your area of effect it like goes away, if you charge it up fully, now it does like a final attack that does a bunch of damage. And doing all that in conjunction was so fucking fun. And pretty much all of that was based off of the new stuff they've added into Hades 2, right? Like those weren't boons that were based off of stuff that came from the original game. So even though it plays and moves and feels like Hades 1, I think they've done such a good job of looking at Hades and figuring out, all right, what are the things we need to do to like work with this framework that we have? Because the framework of Hades is so good already. I love that it is, hey, don't fix what isn't broken. How do we add on to this? How do we improve this? How do we like, make this the game that this is even meant to be even more? And I think they're finding a lot of those things. One of my complaints with Hades 1, probably like one of my bigger complaints with Hades 1, that is very much a me thing, because I don't see it as many people mention it, but one of the things that always bugged me was there are these dash attacks that you do in Hades where if you dash and then press the attack button, you do like a different kind of attack and you can upgrade that and do all that stuff. I found that as I would get further into the game, I would straight up just do that because that felt like, for me, that was always the best move in the game. I could find really good upgrades for that dash attack. And so as I'm going, I am like dashing, attacking. And it led to this like button mashy type of play for me where it is like, as soon as I enter a room, all right, cool. A, B, A, or I guess AX. Yeah, AX. Just like tapping that over and over again. Here, it seems like they removed the dash attack. Like I tried doing it, and I'm like, this isn't there.
There is an ability for it. I'm not sure if it's like you get it right off the rip. I think it is something you have to acquire.
It seems like this game focuses a lot more on the sprint being a thing that hurts people as opposed to like the burst of the dash itself. Because it's like there were a couple of the upgrades that like made the dash itself hurt people, but I'd say more of them that I found were like, oh, as you're sprinting and you run into someone, it leaves them with burn or it freezes them or whatever.
And it's improved. Like I noticed it pretty immediately where as soon as I clocked that the dash attack isn't there, I was like, oh yeah, I am not button mashing really in this game. Like I am playing this game the way it feels like it's more so meant to be played. And I think that's just one example of like, I think they're just cleaning it up, right? Like they are looking at all the things that worked about Hades 1, which is so many things, but then even those few things where it is, okay, we can dial this in more, we can tweak this more, we can like turn this more into what it's meant to be. I think they're absolutely nailing it. And then also I just got to shout out the art. They've somehow like made the art even more impressive. Like now when the gods show up, they have like a background with them too, and you can kind of see them. It's like a phone call versus like a Skype or like a Zoom where it's like, oh, I can see where you're at. And it's like, it looks really pretty. The updated arts.
The key art's like a lot more animated now.
Yeah.
Like instead of being as static as they were, you see a lot of little particles. The metal on their suits kind of will have like a metal sort of sheen go through it.
And it looks really good.
Looks great.
And I love the new characters they've added, like the boss character at the end of the run. Really cool. There's another character. Nemesis. I forget her. Nemesis is fucking sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Selene was kind of like the one who gives you a frozen, almost like Kamehameha wave type power. Yeah. I love the emphasis on crowd control, because your main cast, which is, again, in Hades 1, it was like throwing out that arrow blessing was mentioning, but now cast is this kind of AoE circle that you put on the ground, and the main thing there is like crowd control. Whenever you do that, when there's enemies around, you see hands come out of the ground. It's called grasp, and that the grasp move is these hands kind of sticking these enemies in place, and they can't move until that little ability goes away, and kind of basing the whole combat around that premise, get enemies trapped in here and go to town on them. It is just so freaking satisfying.
And upgrading it into like my favorite one is freeze, where it just freezes a bunch of them and then damages them over and over again, and then freezes them again.
It's like a little frozen tornado.
So fucking satisfying.
Yeah, man. It's so satisfying is a word I feel like we keep using it. It's very apt for both Hades 1 and I think especially 2. But going back to what I was talking about the Tim Geddes type shit, where of just like, oh man, I want to keep playing because there's so many things I want to collect and get. I think one of Hades' biggest strengths was how surprising it was for me, where here I am, 7 runs back to back, and every single run, not just the gameplay is fresh and different, but like the story bits, the things people are saying to me, who shows up in a room, like it felt like there was just endless things happening, and it felt kind of impossible to be so designed, but then also so just like open for like, it feels like something that was tailor-made for me, but everyone else is getting the same experience, but they're getting a different version of it, and it just felt endless for that to be working. And I feel like this, what we've had, the very small sliver of this game for Hades 2, is continuing that trend, but even giving me more things to want to do another run for. I love in addition to the 2 weapons you get, there's these like 3 or 5 little like extra not weapons, but like tools to be able to like go.
You get a shovel to dig.
A shovel to dig some things, or like a little hammer thing, like a pickaxe to like be able to get the silver or whatever. And there's just all these different economies, and I'm just like, oh baby,
yeah.
Like I'm gonna want to just keep going back, and I'm gonna focus on getting the silver this time, or I'm focusing on getting coins this time, or focus on whatever. And it's like I just feel like earlier on in Hades 2, it seems they're giving you more things to start building to make every run feel like you're making some progress, even if you're not like getting further.
That was always my thing with Cult of the Lamb. Like it's so easy to compare to Hades, and really any roguelite. It was like I think Hades did it so right the first time. Not that Hades is the first roguelite by any means, but it's like the first one that kind of really hit on that level.
Sure.
Along with I'm thinking on the side
Cells.
scroller, Dead Cells,
Rogue
yeah.
Legacy.
But I just loved how anytime you'd start a run with Hades, the first god would talk to you and you'd be like, oh, it's going to be one of these runs now.
Yeah.
Cool. Let me get my mindset ready for what
Focus.
this is. And I just love that mentality kind of resurfacing several years later, being like, God, I love this experience so much. And starting a new run is going to be a new adventure. And now I got to, it's going to be an Aphrodite run, or it's going to be a Hermes run. Having Hermes make her, or not Hermes, I'm sorry.
Artemis?
Artemis, yeah, the critical one pop up as like, similarly to when you would fight against a homeboy when you would have to like kill more enemies than the other hot dude.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
Similar. Now Artemis is here doing a similar sort of thing, but she's trying to help you kill a bunch of enemies, and it's just really really neat to meet her and just have those random
It's exciting.
meetups. Yeah, and it's like, oh cool, this is now I can add crit to whatever it
Yeah.
is I'm doing, and you see the purple boon pop up amongst
The music
all
changes,
different
the
ones,
colors
like,
are kind of
ooh,
in.
let's
It's like,
go.
oh man.
So exciting.
Any final thoughts on the Hades 2 technical test?
No,
Well,
I
then
almost
give it
like.
to
I
me now.
mean, I'm conflicted between playing more or just like leaving it and like waiting for it to come out later. I don't know if I'm in for the early access yet or not.
That's
either.
my problem.
Or am I going to play early access or do I just wait for it to come out?
It just seems so developed already.
Do we
Yeah.
think it comes this year? Because playing this test is the first time I'm like, oh, we're getting this year. It feels so good.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to, I mean, it really just comes down to Supergiant being like, oh, well, the final boss fight is like not finalized or whatever. And that's where this is going to need some more time
Yeah.
to cook. But this tiny glimpse is so convincing that the game is in a very good spot.
Yeah.